Hey everyone, and we start with Marvel Divas #1. I wasn't going to include this title because every Tom, Dick and Harry has already reviewed this C-list superheroine remake of Millie the Model. But in last week's review I looked at Wolverine First Class and I said I was unsure about its audience. But I am in no doubt that this is targeted at female and gay comic readers. For those of you who don't fall into those categories, there is little to encourage picking up this title. I have no prejudice in picking up an all-female title, having already stated how much I enjoyed the recent run on X-Men, and Marvel would benefit from a Birds of Prey-esque team. However, what the all-Irish team of writer Roberto Aguirre Sacasa and artist Tonki Zonjic deliver here is a far cry from that. Tonki's art lacks the stroke factor of, say, Terry Dodson or cover artist Scott Campbell, and writer Roberto clumsily tries to make a Marvel version of Sex and the City by throwing in continuity references. On the plus side, the writer does capture the female voice well, by portraying them as vacuous shopaholics, and how many women do you know have done a runner when they think they can do better? Won't Captain Marvel be kicking herself when she hears about Brother Voodoo's promotion? For those of you angered by women's self-centered behaviour, you can take solace in the karmic retribution of the final page, when Firestar announces that she has cancer. As a kid, I was an avid watcher of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, so I'm very familiar with Firestar's dark and twisted sense of humour, so would half expect her to say "psych" in the first panel of the second issue. But those of you who have been privy to the internet leaks know that this series will be following a trend, and in the second issue Photon gets syphilis, and in 3 and 4, because of eating cat food, Hellcat and Black Cat break their spines trying to lick their ass. And you can see Sarah Palin's on the cover of Brak the Barbarian #1 by DDP, and the company must be in trouble to try a marketing ploy like this. While this may fool the layman, I have studied history at Oxford and am well aware that Mr. Obama had no ancestors in this area during this time period, so I'm not fooled by this unbelievable and overly dull story. I know it doesn't matter if I recommend this book or not, as anyone who would purchase it is doing so for potential investment reasons and not because they want to see Hammer on Obama. Now, from one American icon yet to be shot to one that has been, Reborn 1 of 5 charts Captain America return to the Marvel Universe, even though he hasn't really been gone that long. Between flashbacks to Cap in WW2, we have his ex Sharon Carter coming clean to Falcon and pals that she was the assassin, but that it wasn't really her fault because she had the painters in or was brainwashed or something. With this line of bullshit, she definitely deserves a place in the second series of Marvel Divas. Anyway, the gist is that Cap's not dead but lost in time, a plot point that would normally make me cringe, but as I and myself alone always say, in Brubaker we trust, and Bryan Hitch's art certainly doesn't hurt. And Brian's pulling double duty this week with Fantastic Four 5, 6, 8, and this is my pick of the week. Mark Millar has had 1 or 2 shaky issues during his time on the title, but this is spot on what an FF story should be, with a team facing an impossible situation against a seemingly unbeatable foe. Millar added gravitas to Doom's master the Marquis of Death last issue by having him swiftly defeat Victor, and here we see him face off against Reed Intellect, having rendered the rest of the team powerless. I thought I'd better praise this title now because my feelings may change once the conclusion is released. As one of my favourite writers, I have faith in Millar, but so many Marvel titles recently have reminded me of Stephen King by having great setups but piss poor endings. On to DC, where a lot of the titles recently are just piss poor altogether. Case in point is Final Crisis Aftermath Run number 3. I really find it a struggle to find any reason to recommend this to people and suggest your time and money would be better spent elsewhere. Next month, instead of buying issue 4, I'll be buying a £1/4 of 2 homeless people to fight over. But enough about my mum and dad. DC should realise that Final Crisis was a failure, admit defeat and move on and pray that they can claw it back with the Blackest Night event. A prelude to which is Green Lantern Corps 38, which I would only suggest if you collect this series regularly, but it is not necessary if, like me, you only collect the standalone title. Plus, the only real prelude to Blackest Night is on the final page, which as you can see is hardly worth busting a nut over. Next is Batman and Robin issue 2, and though I was harsher on the first issue, this is an improvement, but I'm not going to do a full review as Pelican's start goes pretty in depth and has a nicer set. But I will say I was impressed by the art, and most notably the colouring. Not something I normally take notice of, but Alex Sinclair does an amazing job here in every panel, and he doesn't go over the lines once. The art is also superb in JLA Cry for Justice 1 of 7. Mauro Cascioli is a definite name to look out for. I couldn't help critiquing this issue as I read it, as I was hoping it may be a step towards returning the league to former glory, but it seems to be diluting the roster with even more second and third stringers. As the story ended, I was thinking that this series will have no lasting impact and no one is going to be rooting round back issue bins in 10 years looking for when Congo Bill joined the team, and laughed when I turned the page and there was a 5-page letter from the author trying to convince us that the series does matter and explaining why he put an orange monkey on the team, along with a 2-page origin story. If he truly had the confidence in the series, he wouldn't feel the need to do this. Fortunately for Robinson, the art is good enough by itself to make me pick up number 2, and I mean the second issue, not Feces. Other titles worth looking at this week are Deadpool Merc with a Mouth number 1, because can you really have enough Deadpool? Secret 6 number 11 for its consistent quality, and Greek Street number 1 for something different. Anyway, just a brief one this week, so until next time.